Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Galactic Ambition, a Star Wars Unlimited podcast, part of the Main Deck podcast family. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jason, and let's all hope that I'm not, stuttering to you right now on the video version of this podcast.
So we had, several episodes of just, we thought we had it fixed, and then I downloaded, and it's like, nope, it's still,
nope.
And it's, just so you guys know, when we saw it, I was recording it, it looked perfectly fine. Yeah. And sometimes when you played it back on the computer, it was still fine, but certain software, when it moved it in, then it started stuttering. And Jason,
it was bad.
What was the fix? What do we do?
Well, after troubleshooting it many times, I downloaded Zencastr myself, which is what we're put you back, and that's what we're using to do this. And it defaulted the download to my other browser. I had another browser on my computer, and when I used it in that browser, it worked perfectly fine. Google Chrome. And I guess from when I got a new monitor not too long ago, and this is when it all kind of started happening too. So I thought is when I got my new monitor, I moved a bunch of stuff around in the ports in the back of my computer. I cleaned my computer out, all that, stuff we do. I thought it was that. No, it just turns out that I just was using the same browser I've been using forever. Zencastr decided to open in the old Chrome browser I was using, and it worked perfectly fine in Chrome and not in my other browser.
Super weird. I mean, it hopefully worked perfectly fine. In our testing,
our very exhaustive testing, it worked fine. I was putting the FPS down on the camera. I was checking my internet. Anything I could do. And I know about as much as a computer as probably your very average person. I'm not very technologically inclined. I'm kind of a Luddite in that regard. So for me to troubleshoot this, I felt like I was way out of my depth. I felt like, I was inventing the wheel, but then I found it out. I did it.
You did it, well, Jason.
I did it.
We're all proud of you.
Asterisk, question mark, fingers crossed, pray emoji. We're hoping this all looks good to you guys. We've been really excited to record lately, and we're keeping a lot of momentum. And it was such a bummer for my brain for this to keep screwing up, because I was like, what the? It felt really bad because we've been really excited to get out here and record and talk about everything. I've been really working hard on my setup, which fell behind now because I was so concerned about fixing the computer itself. I didn't get all my light stands and everything together, and really want to up the quality because, Dan put so much effort into this. I should put some amount instead of seeing, you guys will see a very zoomed in version of me because behind me is my wonderful camper, and it's my cat running around. So I'm trying to make it a little bit better, a little bit more professional. So that kind of really messed me up for a while mentally. So I'm glad. I think we figured it out.
I think we're good.
Onwards and upwards.
I think we're good now. And Jason, the other thing is that I want to thank you all just because we have seen a bit of an uptick in views lately, which has been good because we've been trying to be consistent, and it turns out people like that on the YouTube. So thank you all for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, we are well known in the community as the most consistent Star Wars podcast, but we've definitely been better. And we are just both crazy excited about, most importantly, the fact that crime is about to be legal.
Crime is about to be legal. And before we get into crime being legal, I just want to say some people have some really nice comments in our last video, the School Year's resolutions, about us and about enjoying us and enjoying what we do. And some really good feedback about what we could do with the channel for this year and just content people can enjoy, which I know Dan has definitely taken to mind. He's got more fun deck prep. I know Dan wants to do more rules video stuff too. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I want to do a new one because just to briefly touch on it, there was a live stream last week where they announced a major change to how card effects are being worded, and actually how the structure of triggers work in the game during the attack step. I did not realize, we saw this when attack ends text on Mull when it was revealed and stuff. And Jason and I both saw it. We're like, whoa, that's new wording. That's crazy.
The first thing I thought of, I was like, what's that?
Yeah. But I personally didn't realize how extensive this change was going to be. And just to briefly, really, really briefly go over it, they're compressing the attack sequence from 3 trigger points to 2. And within that, they are taking a bunch of abilities and jamming them into 1 trigger point, but then putting additional like filter terminology on them so they still work like how they're supposed to. That stream was so funny though, because so many people were like, does this fix Rukh? Does this fix Rukh? Like, everyone is still stuck. First of all, Rukh is a set 1 card, is rotating out anyway. That's going to be eternal legal.
Yeah.
But Rukh has not really been playable. Like,
there's going to be better cards to play in Eternal.
Yeah. I've snuck them into lists. There's been a couple where I've been like, hey, you know,
I saw some set 1 play for sure. The card was pretty decent in set 1 for sure.
He was decent in set 1. I actually don't even. He wasn't even. He was arguably good in set 1.
He was fringe playable.
Yep. But it's so funny to me that so many people are so. For people who don't understand what this means, Rukh and Shoot First. This was going back to set 1. This was a combo of cards that everybody saw for the first time and went, "Oh, that's so broken." And then their fun-hating friend, and also known as a judge friend or whatever, would step in and say, actually, that does not work. Because Shoot First allows the unit to deal its combat damage before the defender when it attacks another unit. Rookh's trigger happens when damage is dealt, but there is no trigger resolution window between the, like, dealing damage first that is created by Shoot First and the dealing damage back from the defender. So Rukh shoots first into something. He deals damage first. No, and Rookh's trigger would normally defeat the unit when he deals damage, but no trigger happens. He takes damage. Or sorry, trigger happens, so no resolution happens.
Right.
He takes damage. And then this is the first point in the game where the game allows triggers that happen to resolve. And it looks at the board and says, well, both things dealt damage, so now Rukh can trigger and deal something, but he still takes the damage back. So, like, everyone wants to shoot first with Rukh and kill the thing before they take damage, but that doesn't work in this game.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And I have to say, with the new rules change, we have to wait. I'm not going to do the video. I'm going to do a video on it because there's going to be enough to talk about, but I can't do it until I've seen the new wording because they're going through and rewording card effects.
Right.
And I would just be speaking out of my butt if I were doing that.
Oh, sure. Don't want to do that.
Which is a trick I'm able to do.
Nice. Okay.
But we have to wait to see the final wording on Rukh. But I would be shocked if this fixed it, because this is decreasing trigger windows.
Right.
And Rukh needed a 4th trigger window.
Yeah, it's like compressing things down to where it's not just so many timing states and things to go off, while still letting all the cards work the way they're intended, which I like. I think it's great. I think it's from a rules nuance standpoint, that's awesome, right? We don't need all these breakpoints and things happening, but I think poor Rukh might be left in the dust in that regard.
I think it's just going to be an oopsie, like this. The rules didn't work out. This doesn't do that thing. Sorry, Rukh. So let's all pour one out for Rukh, who's very likely going to be stuck always shooting at the same time as everyone else.
Never shoot for sure simultaneously.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's really like the special edition version of Shoot First when you use it with Rukh. It's like Shoot First is the original trilogy, the 1977 release Han scene. And when Rukh uses it, it's actually the special edition version where they he kind of moves like a little bit and they shoot at the same time.
I know. I don't know that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because you're watching Star Wars in the weirdest way possible, but I'm so here for it. You'll watch A New Hope eventually.
I will, but I'm getting my way through there. I'm having a good time. Took a little pause through it after the holiday, but we're back to it. But we got to get back to this. The topic of our video.
Okay.
Crime is legal. We talked about it a little bit in the past. We really, crime is now legal. You heard it here first.
Yep.
We're headed into a lawless time.
It's about to be a lawless time.
It is about to be a lawless time. And we are in spoiler season, baby. We are in full swing. I'm so excited. Like, full swing spoiler season starts when we start getting the leader reveals. Yeah. I was going to say, when I see a leader reveal, I'm like, bam, we're there.
Now it's time. Now it's a lawless time. And so far, what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to talk about just a handful of cards that have been spoiled that we all think really, really get into this mentality of crime now being legal in A Lawless Time. We think all of these cards are criminals in their own rights in what they're doing in the game, and they're definitely cards that are like we're super, super excited about.
Yes.
And I think, Jason, we're just going to jump right in, and I'm going to let you lead the way because you could not shut up. Not that I wanted you to, but you could not shut up when this leader was revealed today as we're recording.
This leader today as we're recording. Yeah, I couldn't shut up about Lando, dude. This is, I don't want to lead with what I think is the best card in the entire spoiler season so far. And was probably, I don't know how this card is not going to be my favorite card in the entire set. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Lando Calrissian, full Sabic. So first off, he's gambling already on the card. Crime.
That is a crime in some
places. We don't have to talk about it anymore. If is he in that's it. He's talking crime. No, and
do you know who Lando is? Do you know who Lando is yet?
I know of him, but not about him yet.
Okay. I'm so excited.
I know that his cards are super cool in this game.
That's because Lando is like
this is no exception. This is crack. He is our cunning heroism leader with the underworld trait, and on his leader side, he has action 1 exhaust. Choose an aspect that discard a card from your deck. If it has the chosen aspect, create a credit token, which is just crack it to get a resource. Awesome. Great. But he has at 6, we could flip him. Our epic action. We get a nice 4/7 unit, which only says, when deployed, you may defeat a friendly credit token. If you do, create 3 credit tokens. Before I get into the leader side or the unit side of this card, I have to talk about the front side, which I think might be my favorite part of this card. When I read it, you and I both read this card differently. I read this card, because you didn't realize the thing about just sharing the aspect. Remember,
I kept thinking about like, yellow, blue, like whatever. Right. I was not thinking like just make the whole deck heroism.
Yes. So kind of bearing the lead. There is deck builds where you could just pay 1 and get a credit anytime you have that spare resource if you build this right, because you could just make sure heroism is on all your cards. There is plenty of a pool in yellow plus any other color where you could play probably mostly heroism, like if not the whole list, right? That in alone is crazy. The fact that this card will take your extra resources, because honestly, this deck is not going to be an aggro deck. This deck is definitely going to become kind of mid-range or flip turn, deploy a 9-drop unit on my flip turn insanity, like some nonsense. So realistically, you might play a 2 on 3 resources, stuff like that. So whenever you have an extra resource in the right build, you just get to save that resource for a future turn and stack them up and do just really stupid things. Like we haven't seen enough cards from the new set, but already with the pool we have and what we can build, just with the touching heroism, just you basing it on heroism and then the other colors within yellow, green, whatever you want to play. You could do so much with this. It's so much. It's free real estate. Like, I don't know. I really don't know how else to say that. And then the leader side cracking for 3. If the leader side cracking for 1 credit into 3, you're probably going to have enough extra resources anyway. I mean, you're gonna flip and do something very stupid, hopefully, or you can go really wide with a bunch of units. I don't know. I just think this is a card that is a brewer's paradise.
Okay. So, I think you and I were like we were on slightly different wavelengths in just how we were thinking about this card immediately. But the thing is, I was still thinking, even if there's a gamble to this effect, I still think this card's really, really good. I do think when we get the full set, there are going to be a number of cards that are going to be non-heroism, like yellow, blue, yellow, green, yellow, red cards that are going to be really strong, especially when you play them under curve. Or over curve, or whichever direction it's appropriate to talk about here. When you're paying something higher cost than where your curve is at. Right. That I think is going to be the one of the things you're going to want to think about a little bit. And I don't know also to what degree you're going to find ways to cheat. I want to get into the really quickly, the theme of this card is so spot on, which is why I was initially asking you if you know who Lando is yet.
Right.
because this is Donald Glover's Lando. This is Lando from the Solo movie. Absolutely impeccably played by Glover. This is Lando at his cheatiest when he's gambling and ends up risking the Falcon, and Han wins, and then you'll see all that stuff when you watch the movie.
Sure.
It's great, but this is it's full Sabak Lando is his subtitle. So his front side is literally placing a bet and winning a credit if you win.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, okay, is it going to be yellow? Yes, it is. Cool, I get a credit. His backside is like betting the credit and winning the 3 back, I think is the way I'm reading that as well. And if you want to make sure you always win when you're playing a card game, you stack the deck. And that's where you get your idea of like, okay, just play everything heroism or something, or just play like one blue card.
What if there were cards that we could maybe like stack the deck ourselves, like in this same set?
Yeah, I mean, we're already like looking
Qui-Gon
at
Jinn.
Yep, we got the Qui-Gon from the starter deck, who definitely seems like he's a nice fit in there. He's someone if you can drop him a turn earlier on turn 2 with the credit token, he starts getting pretty scary. He's gonna be hard to answer. And then the next turn, you'll get to attack with him, get that on attack, stack the deck, activate the Lando. I think all that stuff's really cool. I also think one thing Lando can do is pay 1, exhaust, if you know you're going to hit. So say you swung with Qui-Gon. And so you I know I'm hitting this. Or you built the deck so you know you're going to hit it. So it's always fine. But specifically, I think it's better if you can stack the deck, because you can then specifically put a villainy card on top in your heroism deck. First action or whatever, second action after you stacked it, whatever, as long as you didn't have to pay any resources for this is the big key to this. Then you mill that card, get the credit, and then you can still use that credit that turn to still play on curve. But you got to find and mill a villainy card to set up something like Anakin Champion of Mortis. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. There's so much cool stuff you could do.
Yeah, you do all that without actually losing credit economy if you're trying to do it that way.
Right.
Or as you're saying, Jason, you can just play under curve and then set up a credit and then go into this flip turn, get 3, and suddenly you're going to play a gigantic thing. And we'll talk towards the end of the podcast about a card that I think is going to I was looking at that card, and when it was revealed, I'm going to tease it a little bit. And I was thinking, I just don't know when you would play this. And then Lando got revealed today. I'm like, that's when you play it.
That's how we play it.
Okay, this makes more sense to me now. But yeah, totally insane. Also, the flip is a deploy, so then you get to do make a bunch of credits, then plot a bunch of stuff. You can hold off that deploy a little, and you can deploy and then immediately +3/+0 Cinta swing. You can do all that stuff. He's gonna be good. This is
one of those deploys.
Solo.
Yeah, this is one of those deploys too. If you don't deploy on curve, it's fine. Because if you could use that extra economy, then it's completely fine. Because your front side is still, the front side is very serviceable, I think, through a vast majority of the game because of things like Anakin and stuff like that, where maybe the credit is good, but you can set up your discard and stuff like that. There's just so much you could do. The card's awesome. I could spend a lot of time talking about this card and cards I want to play at this card, but that would be criminal. We have others, which suits the podcast. So let's keep going. So no, but we have more cards to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about the other leader that I think has got both of us ticking a little bit. I don't think as objectively powerful, I guess I'll just say, as I think Lando Calrissian is, but one that immediately I thought, okay, this is really fun. And this guy is definitely a criminal. And both sides would consider him a criminal at different points in his history. So we got Agent Kallus, Reconsider Your Allegiance. This is Kallus kind of deep into Rebels when he starts thinking, man, wait, am I the baddie? Am I the baddie here? So Kallus is a vigilance villainy leader. So I was trying to say the actual aspect name rather than just blue. He's a vigilance villainy leader who has the ability action, pay 1, exhaust, play a card from your hand, ignoring its aspect penalties. Okay, so before I even get to the flip, which I think is a really good flip too.
Yeah.
This is effectively, you can play anything in your deck of any colors at all.
Yes.
Not just oh, I can play a heroism card now in my blue-green deck.
Yay.
No. You could play a red-yellow card in your blue deck, and instead of paying 4, you pay 1. Okay? I think on its base level, a lot of people will immediately use this to splash something in and pay 1 instead of 2, which I think is pretty good, actually, already.
I still think that's extremely fine.
I think that's fair, but I think I think the tough thing about this is basically you have to make your access to other effects for just 1 more worth not getting some kind of like ongoing incremental, like the resources, the credits that Lando gets, or even just like basic like Gar Saxon old like leaders like that are just like here's plus on your stuff. You have to get a value out of this somehow, right? But I think when you flip him, he makes a pretty good case for it because he flips on 5, pretty early flip. Nice for these kind of, he's going to be a more mid-range to control leader, I think, generally, because you have to pay extra. So we're talking like, okay, we're not just going to like rush stuff out. So often on these early flip leaders, like Kira was, like Krennic was, these are used to flip out he's like a 3/6 and kind of just control the early game board a little bit.
Yep.
He's out there, he's going to get in there, he's going to rumble, and he's just going to try and make sure the opponent doesn't get out of hand while you're trying to build to the late game. But when he's flipped, he has action, pay 1, play a card for your hand, ignore aspect penalties. You still can do his same thing multiple times in a turn, but you probably won't. I assume. But he now has the real, like, the reason why I said you're probably going to splash like a villain, like a heroism card or something, because he has, when you play a heroism card, you get to heal 2 damage from your base. So very, very original Krennic-like in this, like he flips into a 3-power thing that's then going to like get you some incidental restore as long as it's not dealt with immediately. Again, just like stabilizing you, right? And then you get into this late game and you just start going like, okay, now I have access to any tool that I want to have access to. And I think that's really, really fun.
Yeah. So something to point out when you bring it to like Krennic, I don't think it's as inherently powerful as Krennic, but it has a higher ceiling than Krennic does as a leader.
I think that's fair.
Which I think is very important to talk about, because something that was starting to worry some of us in the community is the leader design space.
Yeah.
And we've kind of already seen it, unfortunately. I think Hera falls in that category where it just feels a little uninspired. And I know Dan was a little upset, but we don't want leaders that are basically rehashing older stuff. We want to try something that's a little more outside, and that's what Agent Kallus does. And he's committing 2 crimes here. We didn't talk about that. It was very important. First, he's not paying for his cards the full cost. He's not paying his aspect. That's a crime. And he's playing heroism cards as a villain. That's also a crime. Can't do that.
Very criminal.
Very criminal. So why would you do that? But that's important. That's the gimmick here.
Yeah, but keep us on brand. That's good.
I got to keep us dishonest here because we're criminals. But no. I really like, so this leader in particular, I think is going to really create some really cool deck building slants from people. I think so a lot of people were poo-pooing on this leader, like in the community at large. There was a fair amount of poo-poo. There was. Sure. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I see where they're coming from. Because this leader out of the box is not going to be particularly easy to build with, I would think.
No.
And inherently, the community at large, when we see something that just doesn't look immediately, bombastic, like Lando, I mean, that card immediately like screams out, wow, look at me. This card, not so much. But I think the brewers and the real grinders are going to make some really sweet builds with this card where they're getting multiple payoffs on the healing. Really playing some cards that probably don't belong in the color pie that they're playing at all. And like I said, a lot of the people are just looking at it paying 1 for 2, but the real is when you can get it for like 1 for 4, 1 for 6, like go crazy, do something really cool. I'm really excited to see stuff like that. I don't have the brain for it, so this is one of those cards I'm excited to see what other people do, but I could definitely see the value of that and the excitement in that versus just kind of like, oh, wow. No, I think there's a lot under the hood with this one, and I think really strong deck builders are going to be rewarded with it. Like,
let me just throw one concept out there. I think they're not going to get reprinted. We don't know yet, though. The double aspect legendaries, cunning, vigilance, aggression, command, right? I currently don't think they will. I would love if they did, because I think those cards are really good at at just like hammering the identity of what those aspects are. And they're really important role players in the dual aspect decks of their respective aspects. A double cunning deck without cunning is like, it feels like it's shoehorned, or not shoehorned. It's hamstrung a bit, right? That said, boy, if cunning is reprinted and you get to play like blue-green Kallus, and you get to go like, okay, turn 2 resupply, turn 3 cunning your board, and flip.
Seems really good.
And like, you bounce that, exhaust those, flip my leader, kill this thing, and then take my next turn. You have to deal with Kallus, and if you don't, I'm going to start healing any damage you dealt, and I can continue to like cunning in this deck or start to do more gross things afterwards, because I ramped and now I have access to all this stuff. Like, I feel like that's where you'd be like, wait, okay, hang on. Like, this is actually feeling kind of good. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I hope so. And Kallus is a character who is beloved for people who watch Rebels, because you don't know this, Jason, but he's this villain, and he has this whole redemption arc.
Oh,
and
let's go. I like those.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, like this guy kind of rules. So he's gonna be really great. But those are the 2 leaders we're most excited about. Jason hinted, we're not gonna dig into it. Hera doesn't land for me.
No.
And
the art was pretty good.
What's that?
The art was good.
Yeah, the art's good. The art's good.
Fine, yeah.
I'm gonna stick with my eternal original Hera deck or something, probably, I guess. But unfortunate. But we got a lot more leaders to see still. But at least so far, of the non-starter deck ones, 2 of them I really, really like. One of them I don't. Hopefully we see more though.
Yeah, really exciting.
Let's move on to let's talk about a legendary. Our first of a couple legendaries we're going to talk about today. I want to talk about Chewbacca, because whoa, this card is like, okay, this is one of our triple aspect cards, so you're really locking this into blue green, or I should say command, vigilance, heroism. I do wonder how much people are going to start to play these bases where you get to play something off aspect just to like tech in those Chewbaccas in your like green red deck, just for like when, okay, you know what, it's be really good right now to have this. We'll see. But 4 cost, 4/4 Rebel Wookiee, Overwhelm. When attack ends, there's that new wording again. If the defending unit was defeated, give an experience token to this unit and heal 3 damage from him. Jason, why do we think this 4 cost 4/4 is good?
Well, if it lives like once, like through an attack, it's a 4-drop 5/5 will overwhelm. Well, if it lives again, it's a 4-drop 6/6, and it just snowballs. Snowballing cards are very strong in games like these. Especially when we have kind of like, we're still in a bit of an infinite mystery what our removal is going to look like. And like fight-esque removal won't work that great against him if he just snowballs to a bigger unit. Healing 3 damage after clearing unit off the table, by the way, even if it didn't give an experience token, for me, I was like, this card's insane. The fact that it just has a built-in heal on the card is really good. And something else that is getting really sneakily kind of more stronger in the set is the Rebel keyword. Him being a Rebel is really good. You can get this unit pretty big, pretty fast, and just have this self-healing monster that, not to mention that scaling damage, if it starts killing smaller units, it just tramples over with Overwhelm. I mean, it's just awesome.
I do think a lot of our really sick Rebel support is in set 1, and it's going to rotate out to Premiere. But yeah, we're seeing some stuff sneaking in now. For sure.
And I think we're going to see more. It feels like it would make sense.
I think if it makes any sense in Eternal, though, you can play this in a Leia deck, and like pretty gross, I would imagine. But yeah, I like the fact that he heals 3 means that as long as he survives the attack, because he's got 4 life, as 4 HP, as long as he survives the attack at all, he full heals and then gets bigger. And like that, I mean, that's pretty cool. And then he's a problem to deal with. He reminds me of K2SO in that, he's just like that stat line at that cost, 4/4 overwhelm for 4. K2SO has that thing that was really good, which is that like even if you deal with him, he still is going to do his thing. And the thing about Chewbacca is he is just going to get pulled off the board by stuff.
Yep.
There's going to be stuff that just pulls off the board and does not, give you any value. But yeah, like if you got any way to ambush this guy in, it's just,
and this card demands an answer.
Crazy.
Just demands an answer unless you're not standing on ground. Then,
it has to be blasted away.
Then just get hit by my 4/4 nonstop. Fine, if you're not playing in the ground. That is also
Yep.
Like it's on rate. We're in the ramp color, so we can maybe potentially play this earlier if we had to. I don't know. I just think this card. And what is the crime Chewbacca's committing here, in your opinion, Dan?
The crime that Chewbacca is committing is absolutely annihilating the board.
Yeah,
I think the crime here is like just assault and battery. Like,
oh, nice. That's a good one. Yeah.
He's just gonna jump in there and literally he will not stop murdering all of your units.
Murder. Dang.
I mean, it does. I think it does edge on murder here because he will. Yeah. Okay. I mean, like, in fact, serial killing. If I would be so bold.
That is kind of bold.
But as long as there's stuff on the board, he could just attack into it, get bigger, heal 3. Do you know how many things he has to kill that deal 4 damage to him to actually have him die? He doesn't. As long as they deal 4 damage, he never dies.
That was an April Fool's show. Yeah, we made that up. No, but yeah, it's super sick. It's so cool. What a cool design card, and the fact that they made Chewbacca as legendary is really cool. I just think that's really neat. Good for Chewie.
Good. It's good for Chewie to finally get on that L board.
Yeah, get on the L train. Not like losing though, because this card is a big W.
Not nice. Like now the kids will understand us.
Now the kids know my Riz. All right, Dan, you got another card.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about Forlom. Devious.
Forlom, that's alone. Sounds kind of crimey.
He's a criminal. He's an underworld droid bounty hunter. This guy commits crimes. He's a 5-cost command, cunning, villainy, or green, yellow, black. Do people even say black and white for them? I don't know that you need to.
I never use those colors for that. I
don't think that happens a lot. He's a villainy green, yellow, which is kind of funny. He's a 4/5 for 5. So right away, like our rate for like the best 5 drops in the game is like Poe. Like you're a 6/6 for 5.
Yeah,
right? So
and
like,
that's really good.
And like that's crazy, but and I do think they're stepping away in the set a little bit from at that, like 6 is where they start to get above rate, but I think they're pulling back on the rates a little bit.
5
mid-range.
Is a little too early. I think that doesn't feel mid-rangey. That feels kind of more like a top end kind of stat line. Yeah,
top end for I agree. But what we're getting for this is an uncommon, by the way. So like I'm not expecting an L stat line, but I'm expecting something good with this when played. Because when played, you may attack with a friendly bounty hunter unit, even if it's exhausted. It can't attack bases for this attack. So it's kind of like a fleet lieutenant effect on a 4/5 body, but you can't attack bases with it. That was obviously the scary thing that like lieutenants would do. But it can attack with exhausted things. The crime that Forlom's committing is that some of you didn't realize, like I didn't the moment I read him because I just didn't think about it, is that he could choose himself because he's a bounty hunter.
So it's funny.
He's gonna deceive you.
Yeah, we were talking about this card ahead of time, and Dan didn't say anything when I picked it. And then I was like, yeah, because he has pseudo ambush. It's built in himself. And Dan goes, I didn't know he could attack with himself. And I was like, yeah, that's why I like it. I like skimmed the card, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, sure, he's like a lieutenant kind of thing.
I just didn't even trigger in my mind.
Yeah. First off, in limited, you're playing this guy every time. This card's banger in limited, which I love as uncommon. That's what, like, uncommons, like, are some of the meat and potatoes of our decks. In general, just in constructed and in limited. So I love a good limited card. But we can get some really spicy on attack triggers on our stuff that's already tacked to cash out. More on attack triggers for our bounty hunters. We could clear units while maybe cashing out towards base the first attack. There's so many cool things we can do with this card in the right build. And the fact that it has ghost text on it, ambush, kind of is worth it as a 5-drop 4/5. I think that's perfectly acceptable at its rarity slot. Like, I think that there's a rare, it'd probably be a 5/5. If I had to guess, if it was at a rare,
yeah, maybe
it'd probably be reasonable.
This
you know what? Maybe not. Yeah, actually.
This is strictly better ambush. Like,
yeah,
he has ambush plus on him. It's just, it is like, when you phrase it that way. Yeah, I mean, and he's those tags, Underworld Droid and Bounty Hunter, all ones that you can find uses for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
let's just say it. The set's about crime. Probably gonna have a lot more bounty hunters coming.
I would be shocked if we didn't.
Yeah,
we've seen artwork of like Cad Bane and stuff.
Yeah,
too,
exactly. Yeah. So think about all the cool stuff that we have coming down the pipeline and stuff we already have. Just a really solid card at the uncommon slot with like we said, ambush plus. Can't beat that. Really strong stuff.
I can beat it because there's nothing left for me to fear from that 4/4.
Nice segue.
Thank you. Nothing
You're
left
welcome.
to fear is one that we had to talk about here. This is a 5-cost event. Actually, I think it's the only event we're talking about today. Yeah, it is. 5-cost event that is in Vigilance and Command. As choose a friendly unit and give it +2/+2 for this phase. Then you may defeat a non-leader unit with power equal to or less than the chosen unit. The crime that this card commits is burglary.
Okay.
This is burglary because this is how heroism is stealing craving power or overwhelming barrage, which is the more busted version of craving power, stealing it from right out under villainy nose. And now these blue-green heroism control decks that I've built these a million times. I've just been playing a Lando deck actually the past week. And I'm always sad that I just can't. I've splashed overwhelming barrage like for late game, but you can't.
Absolutely.
You can't do that turn 5. Like, okay, my 4-drop survived. Make it big. Kill this thing. Swing. Kill that thing. Like, clear the board. You know. Now you can, and this card's gonna get played for sure.
Oh, it's really good. Let's clear one thing up before people start commenting.
I know what you're going to say.
Overwhelming barrage, and nothing is going to be overwhelming barrage again. I'll go out and say there should not be an overwhelming barrage as an aberration, as one of those set 1 magical Christmas land cards that we're never going to see again. You're never going to see Avenger in the way it was again. I don't want to burst your bubble. I'm sorry. That's why we got Lawbringer. We're not talking about Lawbringer, but that's why we got Lawbringer. We're going to have set 1 adjacent cards, and this is our set 1 adjacent feeling card. Nothing left to fear is overwhelming barrage in this new rotating format.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of versatility because those villain decks, you still get to play it too, plus your craving and all the other stuff you're already playing too. So you still get to play it. But the heroism decks don't have to worry about reaching out of aspect now, which is nice. And like you said, those mid-range or those control like command vigilance decks were needing something like this. Kind of just it is like your double removal spell, because now you could do your attack with your card you buffed with nothing left to fear to maybe run into that leader or other unit you want to get rid of while getting something off the board off the nothing left to fear itself. So
the thing is, this 5-cost turn is the turning point in aggro and mid-range deck matchups, like all the time.
Absolutely.
Aggro's a turn sooner, depending on how fast they are, but like theoretically, your deck is built to like handle some of that early aggression, and you need this turn because when you're playing a control deck, if you are not stabilizing until turn like 7, you're not winning. Like that's like in a lot of these matchups, you need a couple turns ahead of that. You need to get to the point where you have breathing room to assert some dominance on the board. So this has been like one of the things that has held a lot of the heroism control decks back, is not having access to this. There has been some success. I'm not saying they've been completely, obviously we've had the Rey decks, we've had Yoda decks that have been able to keep up and do well, but this is going to be a huge shot in the arm for that archetype to even bring some of the other leaders that are like not quite as stacked on their leader to actually become like viable control candidates. And we didn't mention this, but like this also is kind of interesting in that it's not dealing damage or even looking at HP at all.
Yeah.
It's defeating with units with power equal to or less than the power of the chosen unit, which is going to be, I think, a very fascinating little piece of this puzzle when like a Devastator drops and it's a 9/6 and you're like, oh, well, wait, that's too big. Like,
right.
I can't kill that thing with my nothing left to fear now. Which is good. I count play and counterplay is like the key to this being good, which is why Overwhelming Barrage, like Jason said, and Avenger and all these cards in set 1 that were just like on the edge of the bell curve of power level. They're trying specifically to not make those again because they overwhelm the format.
Yeah. It's like we can't have catch-alls. Everything can't just be a panacea. And the other thing too is, and then the big thing about that is the cards that we're getting adjacent are like dipping into 2 colors. So you have more deck building restrictions to reach these abilities. So it's really cool that they're doing that. So yes, we can have our more powerful stuff, but you're going to have to reach a little bit forward and it may look a little different. And like, if you look in a Funhouse mirror, this card is Overwhelming Barrage.
Yes. Yep.
But it's not going to be.
It doesn't have a villainy thing on it. And that's going to be so big. I'm really excited for this. I love control. There's a big Facebook thread, the last week of like somebody who was confident that hard control players were not having fun and did not understand why anyone would play that archetype, which was really interesting. I mean, it's a point of view I like that you can have, that I don't like. The big thing is that everybody enjoys this game in different ways. In any card game, control decks are often there is a zero-sum fun exchange to them, meaning that if your deck is just built to like put a thing on the board every turn and then they just answer that every turn, you're probably not going to feel like you got to do very much that game. It wasn't very fun. But they had a lot of fun. Trust me.
I guarantee you they had way more fun than you did, and that's by design, baby.
Yep. But those styles of decks are also beatable by... I'm just trying to think of the way to like phrase it, but like you can't just play the basic 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop. Did I win yet? That's like... That is frankly, that's like earlier level play. I don't know the best way to say this, but
it's also it's feeding into that strategy that they want you to do too. You're following what they want. Yeah.
One thing that we realized in Star Wars Unlimited, like being there from the start and watching people explore deck building, is like how powerful it actually is to just go wide with small units. I think really early on in the game, a lot of us were just like, why would you do that? Because then the big things just eat them, and then it's not and then like leaders like the set 2 Lando came out, and people are like, hey, watch, I don't have any cards in hand, but you just lost. I have 2 resources, but you're dead. and now like it's very clear with decks like Vader Yellow and stuff, where these decks are just going like
small
like
ball,
a million things.
Small ball go wide is a strategy, and a lot of people when they first come into games like these don't think that's viable because that's not what I'm supposed to do. I have 2 resources, I should play a 2, but now I have 3, I should play a 3. When the reality is I should play a 1, I should play a 1, I should play a 2, and then anthem it and just go wide. And before my opponent, who was trying to go 2, 3, 4, 5, and now they don't get to do that because they're out of the game.
Or the control who's just going, okay, I'll pay 4 resources to kill your 1-drop.
And then what are you going to do? I guess I'll play a 1-drop. But it's that's the fun of this, and that's the fun of deck building and strategies in this game and in card games in general, that people find these things out. So filthy control players, you can have your cards, but I want to talk about a card. Okay, I have a criminal in the lineup. Okay. And I think Chirrut Imwe is committing crimes.
Ooh, he's
committing crimes.
I mean, he's part of an organization that is enacting guerrilla warfare on the legal authority of the land.
Yeah, and that alone. And he also has Saboteur, which is espionage. So
That is espionage. Yeah.
So there you go. So
he's involved in some light treason.
Light treason.
Well.
Everybody needs to be involved in a little light treason sometimes, but he also doesn't need luck. Chirrut Imwe, I don't need luck. He is a 6-drop vigilance, aggression, heroism unit. And he is an 8/6 Force Rebel unit with Saboteur that says, when attack ends, if this unit dealt combat damage to a base, you may heal 4 damage from another unit. The other crime here is this guy is big for 6.
A 6-drop 8/6 is like,
yo.
We've seen 6-drop 7/6s.
Yeah.
This is the first time I think we've seen this stat line that I can recall.
Yeah. No, same.
And it's paired with Saboteur, which is I think that's one of the most criminally underrated abilities.
100%.
Saboteur, I think a lot of the time people go, and he's got Saboteur. And then like, you'll get into a game state where you're like, okay, Sentinels, I'm safe. And they're like, actually, this thing has Saboteur kill you.
Yep.
Which isn't a big deal when the unit doesn't deal a ton of damage, but it's got 8 power.
Exactly, right? It has 8 power. And there's all these times where you're hiding behind, like people hiding behind a village protector in the ground in the mid to that lives through the late game because it's a dump. And you're like, I'll just go into space because they don't have a Sentinel. Well, this solves that problem. And the attack end trigger's awesome too. Like you can just scrape up off some damage off of, maybe we're in some magical Christmas land pile that Chewbacca I left alive. Or we didn't talk about Baze. He's in the same colors and they actually synergize really well with one another.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because when you heal him, you get to deal the damage to a unit, which is super sick. So
yeah, they're obviously meant to go like you play Chirrut, then the next turn you play Baze, attack with Chirrut, or Baze takes a hit, then you attack with Chirrut. With Saboteur, it means you guarantee you hit the base, and then you heal from the Baze who took the damage to the Sentinel, and you deal the damage to the thing. And then also look at their subtitles. Chirrut is I don't need luck, and Baze is good luck.
And their stat line is flipped. Is so sick.
Yeah, like this design was just like so chef's kiss. This pair of rares, super super cool. I love this, and I think Chirrut especially. Although, like, I think a 6/8 Sentinel that also does stuff if you have heal interactions is like pretty good, even at 7. Yeah. We've seen like Captain Rex as a 6-drop 7/7 Sentinel, like really like popping off in some decks. So that's been really cool, and I can definitely see this potentially finding lists for both of these as well.
Chirrut, just big body, does really cool stuff, thematically fun, really exciting, just so cool.
Yeah. I didn't have that on the list here, so I'm glad you brought those up because I did kind of wanted to mention just how sick Chirrut is. I think maybe the last one, unless Jason surprises me again.
No, I thought Chirrut was on our list. Remember, because he said we have a way to talk about it.
Oh, okay, well, fine.
That's fine, but I'm glad we
fell off the list. I want to talk about the last thing is another legendary, Luke Skywalker.
Heck yeah!
We got to talk about the legendary Luke because we got a legendary Luke, and that doesn't happen every set. Although I assume with the new way that they're going to be designing sets based on how players have provided feedback for the game. One of the big things to understand about this set. Sorry, I like jumbled up my words there a bunch. One of the things to understand about this set is, from my understanding, hearing the devs talk about this is really the first set where from the very beginning of the design process, they had the feedback from the community from set 1 and forward to rely on. I think that sounds surprising to people, but you got to understand how, especially with Lucasfilm approvals that they have to go through, how far in advance everything has to happen in this.
Absolutely.
And the length of time for the design process, playtesting, all that stuff. So like this set, even Secrets of Power had already had early design completed. I remember talking to the devs actually at the content creator event before the game launched, and they were like, yeah, we're working on sets 5 and 6 right now. Before Spark of Rebellion was in players' hands. So like they had already done a lot of the steps of like laying out what characters are even going to be picked in the set and that kind of stuff. So with this set now, and I think going forward, we're going to see a lot more emphasis on major characters, major popular areas of the story. So I think things like, does this set have a legendary Luke, Vader, whatever characters are popular? I think the answer is going to be yes, a lot more often. rather than Sinara San or
Right.
whoever. So of course we get a Luke, and I love this Luke Skywalker. I love this card. I think this is one of the coolest, most flavorful designs I've seen in the way that they are approaching this particular scene. And this is Luke approaching Jabba in Jabba's palace, trying to get Han back, and makes Jabba an ultimatum. Says, you may either profit by this or be destroyed. So this is Luke Skywalker, profit or be destroyed. 7 cost, aggression, cunning, heroism. 9/7 Force Jedi Rebel. When played, an opponent chooses one. They can create a credit token, so they can profit by this, and then you get to ready Luke Skywalker, or you may deal 5 damage to a unit and it will be destroyed. I think that flavorfully, this is not just a home run, not just a slam dunk. This is a grand slam 12-pointer from 2 courts down. Like, just nailed it across the board. This is such a cool design. The crime is that I think people think that this doesn't make sense to play because you're giving your opponent a choice. And where do you play this in the aggression cunning list? Like, what aggression cunning list plays this? We just went over Lando.
Yeah.
Bro.
That one.
I'm going to flip Lando, and I'm going to play this thing. After taking a bunch of actions, after you've committed a couple resources, you are not sitting on a Vanquish anymore, unless you started passing when I was like flipping Lando and stuff. And I'm like, cool, attack you, pass, take initiative. Let's just do it.
Yeah, all right, that's fine too.
Yep. At some point, your opponent has to start like doing stuff. And so the big thing about Luke, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. The big thing about Luke is your opponent gets a choice. And if they choose to create a credit token, you ready Luke, and then they use that credit token to kill Luke. That wasn't a great exchange.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. But if they cannot immediately kill this 9/7, which that's a huge stat line. This is higher than Devastator's stat line, and Devastator's a big one. Then he's either going to ready and then threaten 9 damage on their base. Well, more on that in a second. Or he's going to deal 5 damage to your unit. Now, the thing is, a lot of players in this game, and this happens to me all the time when I'm actually even playing the game, forget that at this stage of the game, a 9-power thing that attacks you directly usually decides the game.
100%.
If that Devastator gets 1 attack, you are usually too far behind because you get to the stage of the game that's a very unique part of Star Wars Unlimited where you no longer can take actions. You have to take the initiative. Because if you take any action that doesn't immediately answer the board, your opponent takes initiative and kills you next turn.
Yeah.
9 damage is like this power level that is so high that if it even attacks once, you don't likely have actions anymore in this game unless that action is kill the Luke, and then they play another one, and then you go, okay, deal. I guess kill my thing because I literally can't let you ready this. I cannot allow you to ready this thing. So a lot of the time, this Luke is just going to say 7 drop, 9/7, deal 5 damage to unit on enter. That's really good.
That's extremely good. That's extremely good.
That's Vader, but it's a 9/7 that didn't take any damage.
Yeah. It's just,
it didn't put a Sentinel in play, which sometimes Vader does, but like,
yeah,
when I started thinking about this, I started thinking about the fact that like Lando's cheating this out and stuff. And like, okay, we have a leader now. We can play red, yellow, mid range, and you drop this Luke, and like as long as you are playing into the board state correctly, that choice is going to be a no brainer for your opponent because like if they let him ready, you win the game.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good card, Jason. Am I off base here? Am I crazy?
I wanted to hear your thoughts on this because this is one of those cards that when I first saw it, it was hard to evaluate.
Yeah,
because it was kind of a tough nut to crack. Like at 7, is this card impactful enough on 7? Now that was when I was thinking. I was like, I don't know. The more and more that we see, it's very obvious that there is a shell for this card, and one of my favorite things in games is giving my opponent agency.
You do love that.
Agency. I love it.
Yeah.
So when I saw this card, I was like, oh yeah. And I just think it's so cool that it's in this color pattern too. The cunning, I think, is really flavorful. That is so cool because he's literally in there bartering, and it's a deal when really it's just not. It feels very yellow, and then the red is just the giant F off stat line, and the damage is there. It's just so good. I think this card is cool. The traits are excellent on this card. Not only that, the traits are excellent on this card, and I do think it's going to be extremely powerful in the right build, in the right point of the game. But that's the beauty of this game. There's a lot of that's the point of this game.
That's like the one
action economy.
What I really want to highlight about what A Lawless Time is doing is a lot of people will look at this Luke and they'll go, the last 7-drop Luke is like obviously better. It's got Restore 3. It doesn't do as much damage, but it like nukes something off the board guaranteed. You get control over that happening for the most part. The last Luke was actually another card that was too generically strong.
Right. Oh yeah.
There are a bunch of our early legendaries that just like, if you play that color and you go to that turn of the game, you play this card. You just do. You mentioned Avenger earlier. I mean, like that card, Avenger should not exist, right? What Luke is going to do now is exactly what legendaries should do. When you have a shell for this, when you have the Lando with the red or whatever is the leader you want to choose, whatever leader you want to choose that's able to kind of play to 7 and play the game out, then this card's going to be really good in that list. But I think of a world where this Luke was just cunning or something, and I like that less because there's just, anytime you build a cunning deck now, it just becomes okay, well, which is the most powerful 7-drop in cunning? It's this one. Boom. There we go. This is going to lead, and I think A Lawless Time in general is going to lead to all these decks being quite distinctly different, especially when you start choosing to play a different base. Because now, like, Lando green versus Lando red.
Yeah.
Totally different end games now. Like, they have options that are very, very different. I think the big question is going to be, how much are we going to see dual aspect cards going forward? The big crime of A Lawless Time, in my opinion, would be if these dual aspect cards are only pushed in the set.
Yeah.
I really don't want that to be the case. I want to see dual aspect as a core identity of the game going forward to help create more unique, diverse versions of decks, to create legendaries that fit better into more particular niches, and are less just generically good. I think Devastator is a card that's on the same level as Avenger. Is just a little too generically powerful. You can build any blue, red, whatever, even other, just any red, whatever deck for villainy and go, yeah, I mean, Devastator. It's a really good top end.
Yep. It's just there because it's just really good, and I'm just going to play it there.
So I think I'm going to look forward to this rotation. I'm going to look forward to these better niche cards fitting in, where I think you're going to have the build for Luke and go, oh, actually, this is really, really sick here. But he's not then going to go into some other versions of Lando or whatever, and that's totally cool. And then I'm also super looking forward to the next rotation, because theoretically, I know this really far in advance now.
Yeah.
But theoretically, at that point, then they've been developing all their legendaries in this way. Maybe a lot more dual aspect ones. We don't have Devastator anymore. We don't have these ones that you have to rely on, and we might have even cooler diversity happening then.
It would be a crime if they didn't do that, but crime is legal.
But crime is, at least for 4 months, crime is going to be extremely legal.
Crime is extremely legal. And with that, we are going to wrap this up. It would be a crime if we kept talking about this. And even though it is legal, it's running a little long in the tooth. We had a lot of fun. This was a good one. I'm really excited for this next set. We have so many more spoilers to see, guys. So let us know what you're excited for. Let us know what your favorite crime is. in the comments.
No, not.
If you have a favorite
we don't
crime,
need we don't need confessions. This doesn't need to be confessions.
Okay, yeah. Don't frame yourself. Like,
don't implicate anything.
Yeah, implicate. That was the word I was looking for. You were so close. Yeah.
Actually, in the comments, I would rather hear if you think we are spot on or off the mark on any of the cards we talked about today. That's the more salient and easier conversation to jump into. So, like, am I wrong on Luke?
Yeah. Or if there's one of the card that you're really excited about that may have committed a crime, drop it down there. That'd be fun to talk about what you think about these cards. I mean, in a fun card thing. I think most importantly, I think what I want to make sure that we're all aware of is this was a fun way to talk about cards that we've just been really excited and yapping about to ourselves in our little echo chamber. So it was a fun way to talk about them and share our thoughts with you. So if you have any thoughts about those cards, if you think we're wrong, if you think Dan is in particular wrong, let him know. If you think I'm wrong, don't let me know, because my feelings will get hurt.
This is, I think, the second time you've said that in a Star Wars podcast.
Well, one time is a coincidence. Second time means it's serious, so don't do that. No, but seriously, let us know what you think about what we're talking about. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to Galactic Ambition, part of the Main Deck podcast family. So for Dan, I'm Jason. We're done for the night. You guys have a good one. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys take care of yourself. I'm going to try this because maybe my camera's working.
This podcast is not legal advice, by the way.
No. I'm not a lawyer yet.